So today I want to talk about adversity, suffering, a way to endure it, because this last half year I've suffered myself from something, and it has been quite taxing and depressing. But recently I've found a way to deal with it a lot better than I did before, and so today I want to share it with you. And because when we're suffering, when adversity hits us and in our life, usually it really takes out the motivation from what we need to do. Our will to live, just drops, and our motivation to work, to pursue our passions or hobbies, it just drops immensely, and we just don't feel the motivation to do any of that anymore. And so one way to do it is to just try to ignore those negative thoughts and just continue doing what you have to do. If you have work, obviously you need to do it, but you're not really motivated, you're just doing it because it has to happen. But with our passions and our aspirations, maybe outside of work, or maybe that is your work, it's easy to just try to kind of give up on these and just try to search for escapism from reality in order to not have to be able to deal with the suffering. But that doesn't really work, especially in the long term. For me, as I said, I've been going through something for the last half year. It's not that bad or something, but it did get me down quite a bit, especially like back in January or in February, somewhere around there. I wasn't doing anything that I really wanted to do, because we all have aspirations and dreams and whatever. We all have a person we want to be, and for me that was just grinding away at my purpose, at my passion, my work, and having the right hobbies. Not playing video games or watching YouTube videos or things like these. But back then I really wasn't motivated. I couldn't get myself to do the work, to do what I needed to do. And I think that's easy to happen to any of us when adversity hits our life. But now another way that I found to deal with that, because one way is to just try to accept it and to move on. But this has always been my approach as well, because I really like Stoicism, and one thing they preach there is to be to not care about, there's a word for it. I can't think of it right now, but when good news or bad news happen, to just it doesn't affect you. But I always found one thing strange about that, because when you have good news, or when you are happy, when your life is going really well, I always thought to myself, why aren't you allowed to enjoy that? I mean, if it's healthy pleasure, if you're just like this enjoying nature, there's nothing wrong with that in my opinion. And I'm not sure that's exactly what they say in Stoicism. Maybe it is like you can enjoy the weather, but it's annoying that I can't think of the word right now. But to not care about pleasure or pain is what the Stoic ideal is, as what I thought at least. But now I've changed my opinion on that a little bit. So as I just told you, in terms of pleasure, it's not really pleasure, but healthy joy, which comes from nature, from just being blessed. I think it's great to appreciate that and to enjoy those moments. But in terms of pain, I've now also shifted my beliefs, and this is what is the most important thing about this video. And it's something, I want to talk about hatred a little bit, because I have always thought to myself that hatred is something that you shouldn't have for anything or anyone. And I still don't really hate anything or anyone, but I think it can be very useful to antagonize your adversity, because if you do this, you can view it as a challenge, and you can fuel and fire yourself up against it. And I think that can really give you an edge and that drive you need to push through the suffering. And this is really what I wanted to talk about today, and that has really helped me. So instead of just being like, okay, it's happening, the suffering is happening, I need to accept it's happening, that's still fine. But for me, what I've now changed to is, I see it as a challenge. It's kind of like a war, a battle. You know, you can view it as demons, you can view it as Satan. That doesn't really matter, but I think it's a good way to antagonize your adversity. Well, that's at least an option. It's a suggestion, of course, to try it. But not that what happened is bad or is evil. Maybe someone died in your family, it's not that that's evil, you know, it's life, you know. That's always something important to keep in mind. Life is suffering, things happen, it's a part of life, you know. But to view the pain, because it's in your mind. Let me explain it a little bit differently. So something happens in your life, maybe a relative dies, a loved one dies. That in itself is not an evil thing, it's not a bad thing, it's something that is part of life. But your mentality, something in your mind, you know, brings you pain, because your mind is, you've lost someone, you know, there's some suffering there. And what you can do is to try to view that voice in your head or those negative thoughts in your head as perhaps a demon or something that is trying to get you down, to stop you from doing what you must do, to stop you from moving forward. You know, maybe you need to, you want to work on your passions, on your work, your job, your hobbies, whatever. You want to be that good person, but that voice from the suffering is trying to keep you from doing that. And that's what I mean. You know, if you view it as a challenge, that voice in your head that's trying to keep you down. If you view it as a challenge, and if you know that if you can keep that voice or those demons or whatever it is, if you can stay ahead of that, then you become a lot stronger. And if you really tap into that, if you really ingrain that belief into your mind, then it's like you solved a puzzle, you know, because you know that even if you're suffering, you're becoming stronger as long as you stay ahead of it, and as long as you defy the struggle. And that is pretty much only possible if you sort of antagonize it, you know. So that's essentially what I want to say is, try to antagonize your adversity, the voice in your head that's trying to drag you down because of your suffering. Because when you antagonize it, you can challenge it, and you can try to defy those voices dragging you down. You can stay ahead of it, you can keep moving forward, keep doing what you must do, and that will make you much, much stronger. And that's an extra driving force for you to hold on to, and to be able to stay ahead of your negative thoughts. So I hope that kind of makes sense. And if you've already done this, if you've tried it, please let me know. One thing I want to mention as well was David Goggins. He is something I've been following for a long time, and I've taken a lot of inspiration and I've learned a lot from him. But now that I've thought and shifted my beliefs about suffering in this way, I believe I also have come to understand him in that part of life, because that is obviously something he preaches, because he's also gone through a lot. But he is really a prime example of someone who has turned his suffering into a challenge and into a way to make himself stronger. And so if you want to look to an example who has used this idea to the fullest extent, that is someone you can look to. So do not let life hijack your mind, stay ahead of it, keep moving forward, and see you later.